From years of anxiety to warrior and mentor, Bradley Robinson created the Anxiety Project to help you end your anxiety naturally. Let's mold the new you and let's end anxiety together.
Hello and welcome back to the Anxiety Project podcast. I am Brad Robinson here with you once again. This one is number 59 and it's about journaling and the power of journaling. Why journaling reduces anxiety. Now, my old anxious self, that Brad, that weak-minded person, never could commit to one thing. Even when I was a kid, I would take up a sport and then try it for a little bit and then quit. And then I'd take up another sport and I'd try that for a bit and then quit. And I was always taking that easy route, and that kind of bled into my 20s where I could never really commit to something. And so I became very weak-minded. I wasn't strong mentally or physically. I wasn't challenging myself. So the anxiety recovery journey, that was the time where I gained discipline, but I also rewired the neuronal pathways by engaging in habits that were so foreign to me, because I knew that to change myself, I needed to become somebody else. And so I needed to figure out during this recovery process who that ideal Brad is. Who is that guy? What does he do? What are the habits that create this ideal Brad? So I had to model after people. I had to figure out what they do. And I had to really push myself into those uncomfortable scenarios and situations to harden my mind. So recovery is about hardening the mind. My mind was extremely weak. I was gaining discipline, and discipline is necessary for anxiety recovery. So I started to journal at the beginning of my anxiety journey, my recovery journey, and I couldn't really commit to it. It was that part of me that was having difficulty committing. I was experiencing a lot of resistance to journaling at first. So I needed to force myself to journal. And this wasn't something I really wanted to do. I mean, there was a part of me that didn't know how to structure my journal, and there was a part of me that didn't want to express my true feelings, and there was a part of me that didn't want to spend the time doing it because of the belief that, it just might not work. So I was experiencing all of this resistance when I started to implement journaling in my anxiety recovery. But then once I started to make journaling a habit every morning, it became my best friend. And ever since the beginning of my recovery, I've been journaling every day. And here's why. I learned that journaling is a great way to organize all the thoughts cycling through the mind. Now, as a previous health anxiety sufferer, my mind was always cycling catastrophic thoughts, negative thoughts every day. Ever since I took my head off the pillow in the morning to when I laid my head down at night, there were negative thoughts cycling all the time. So journaling, it's the idea of adding more order to all of the chaos. There was so much chaos in my old anxious self. I didn't know what to do. It was overwhelming. So journaling is adding more order to the chaos. So journaling became this useful tool to help add this order, this structure into my day. How does this work? How does journaling add all this order into your chaotic life? Well, getting my thoughts and concerns onto paper became this release for me. I noticed that I felt better expressing my feelings. Those cycling worries, those catastrophic thoughts were then on paper, and now I could view those thoughts from another perspective. I could just see that, oh, this is what I'm thinking about. It was kind of, it was like a structure and a release. This process is important because you start to become honest with yourself. I started to become honest with myself by writing these catastrophic thoughts onto paper. I found it difficult to write these thoughts, these catastrophic negative thoughts onto paper. I didn't want to. I didn't want to write these down. I felt embarrassed, some shame, some guilt, and I felt like I was a weak person by writing this stuff. So I was experiencing a lot of resistance. But when I did write them down, I found myself expressing a part of me that didn't want to be heard. Like, I was expressing feelings from an unconscious level. There was a part of me that wanted to hide from the truth. Journaling is about speaking the truth to yourself. That's why journaling is so powerful. You're starting to be honest with yourself. This is how I really feel. And that's extremely important in the recovery process. It's about being truthful to yourself. Once you speak the truth, then you will see a shift in your outcome, in what you do during the day, and how you move forward in the recovery process. And it hurts. It really does hurt to write your true feelings and thoughts, but it's a massive release. It hurts. To face the truth, to face your flaws, is no easy matter, but that's the way to recover. People always want to hide from the truth. Recovery for me was about facing the truth. This is what's really going on. This is what I really think. These are the thoughts that are cycling. This is the truth. And when you speak the truth to yourself, then you will feel the difference. So I incorporated journaling into my morning routine, and I suggest you do the same. This way, you ingrain this powerful technique as a habit. Now, journaling doesn't have to take you a long time. For me, journaling is only 3 to 5 minutes in the morning. I structure my journal because that makes it easier to tackle right in the morning. Having a structured journal, you don't overthink, well, how do I structure this? Where do I start? You already have a structure, which really does help in the process. So I'm going to tell you the structure I use in my morning journal session. And feel free to do this exact same structure. And then over time, make it your own. Maybe add some stuff and make it and twist it to suit you. But this is my structure. So the first thing when I sit down with my journal, I'll write the date, and then the first thing I'll do is write any worries or concerns down. First thing, any worries, any thoughts that I'm giving emotion to, I'll write those down. The second thing is write 3 things you are excited about today. This gets you looking forward to the day. Sometimes I'll write, I'm excited about challenging myself in this certain social situation, or I'm excited about challenging myself and challenging my panic in this environment. I'm excited about meeting friends for tea. I'm excited about spending time with my family. I'm excited about going to the movies. I'm excited, whatever it is, write down 3 things you're excited about. Number 3 is write 3 things you are grateful for. What are you grateful for? And it can be the little things, and the little things are so important. I'm grateful for getting a good night's rest last night. I'm grateful for the bath I took last night and the relaxing incense I lit. Or I'm grateful for having a gym membership so I can go exercise. I'm grateful for the healthy foods I have in my fridge. I'm grateful for this person because they inspire me. Whatever it is, write those 3 things that you're grateful for. Number 4 is write out your mantra. And I have a mantra every morning that I write out. And this helps me prepare for the day. It helps me recognize the ego. So my mantra is, I choose not to aspire or seek out ego. I choose to have success without ego. I choose to push through failure with strength, not ego. Ego is the enemy. So I write out this mantra at the end of my journal. And then number 5 is write out your daily goal. What's your goal for the day? What is your goal? Sometimes I would write breathing and posture. So I would pay attention to my breathing and my posture for today's goal. So write out your goal for the day. And make sure you structure this journal the way you want to over time. This is my structure. I recommend you start out with this and then over time shift it and create your own mantra and find a mantra that really speaks to you and write that out every morning. So having a structured journal makes the process more routine. It makes it more routine. You don't have to figure out how you're going to, where you're going to start. You can just, I have the structure and then I'm just going to write it out in the morning, 3 to 5 minutes. nothing too long. So this structure, having this structure made the process easier because I wasn't overthinking what I was going to write about or where to start. So buy a cheap journal from Dollarama like I do, and keep it in the same spot every morning. And I keep my journal right next to the place where I meditate. So it's a routine for me. I would get up from my bed and I would go sit in my meditation spot. I would write in my journal for 3 to 5 minutes, meditate, and then stretch. And after I stretch, I'll just go about my day, go eat breakfast, and go do my thing. So journaling holds so much power. Journaling speaks right to the unconscious mind. When you write stuff down, it ingrains more within the unconscious mind. That's why writing and journaling is so powerful. Not only are you speaking the truth to yourself, you're speaking from an unconscious level. And what you're writing goes down into your unconscious level. So you're speaking to the deeper part of you, the 95% of you. So buy a cheap journal and write on the journal, my morning journal. This is your journal. This is the technique that's going to help you. This is a technique that's going to help you in your anxiety journey. Very, very powerful. I still journal to this day, and I never plan on stopping. It's such a huge part of my life. It organizes my thoughts. If I have a concern or if I have a worry, I'll write it down, and then I can view it from a different perspective and really analyze it and be like, hey, that's not actually, that's kind of silly that I'm worrying about that. Sometimes when I write something down, I'll look at it and I'll be like, that's actually kind of silly. And I'll create a rational response to that thought right in that moment. My unconscious would be like, you know what? You got checked by the doctor. You're fine. That's just a natural bodily sensation. You're okay. I mean, you've been stressed out recently. That's why you've been feeling that way. Sometimes my unconscious will just speak that after I write down that catastrophic thought, and I'll be like, oh yeah, that's true. So writing is so powerful. The journal is so powerful. Thank you so much for tuning in to this week's podcast episode. The podcast is on Google Podcasts. The podcast is on iTunes and also on my YouTube channel, The Anxiety Project. And also on the YouTube channel, there are many anxiety videos. Go check that out, subscribe, and leave comments. I want to hear from you and ask me questions. Thank you so much. Do not let anxiety define who you are, and I will see you on the next podcast episode. Bye. For more podcast episodes, for more video content, and one-on-one coaching with me via Skype, visit www.unpluganxiety.com for everything you need to know about ending anxiety naturally. I love you all. Have a great day. Bye-bye.